It starts like a tremor, almost imperceptible, a vibration in the marrow of the world. I remember waking one morning to that realization, a world on the edge of transformation, technology pressing against the heavy doors of tradition. I suppose we all feel it, in the hush before a wave breaks, in the glance of a child at a closed gate, in that ache when you know something is about to change forever, and you'll never really be ready. And let me ask you, have you ever felt that rush, the quickening of your heart at possibility? I have. Right now, as blockchain and digital currencies unfurl their wings, we are not just witnesses, but participants in a grand unraveling. This is not the future pounding at the door. It's already inside the house, rearranging the furniture, lighting fires in dark corners. If you find yourself drawn to this journey, if somewhere, deep down, you ache to understand where money, freedom, and our own sense of self are heading, subscribe now to Crypto 101 Central. Click that bell so that together we won't miss a heartbeat as the world remakes itself. In these days, I look at the landscape of finance and I see fissures opening, light pouring through the cracks. For so long, I believed that the old analog system, banks, wires, those invisible hands guiding every transaction, was immovable, as timeless as gravity. But now, banks know it too. Their sturdy towers were never built for freedom, and they sense the trembling, this new architecture of finance rising in decentralized silence. Once, we had no voice but theirs. Now, decentralization lets us touch the system with bare hands, feel the pulse. For some, it feels like chaos. For me, it is the raw possibility of liberty. Of course, nothing comes without cost. In that trembling, in the exuberance for growth, 5 or 6% a year, decade after decade, the only filmy bridge out of debt, there is also the threat of turning remarkable tools into surveillance instruments. I worry about that. Sometimes, when I stare into the glowing window of my laptop late at night, I wonder, at what price does freedom come? Stablecoins, those digital dollars unfurling across the world, can be either wings or shackles. If we let slip the value of privacy, if we permit oversight to become omniscience, then no innovation can save us from the chill. The memories stack like bricks. Once, not long ago, the air in Washington was heavy with resistance. Crypto, blockchain, all emerging technologies pushed to the edge, stifled beneath suspicion. But winds shift. In boardrooms and government offices, I have seen the change, halting, then suddenly full-throated, a rush to not be left behind. Innovation is the rhythm of America. We do not cut our safety nets to climb out of debt. We unleash technology and hope that it carries us aloft on the next great updraft. In finance, in prediction markets, in perpetual futures and micropayments, I feel the nascent heartbeat of a golden age, dimly echoing the promise of old. But nothing golden is ever pure. The policy flame flickers. Sat in those rooms, felt the tension, seen the pendulum swing. A time when a low-yield product, presented with open palms, resulted not in dialogue, but in the threat of swift punishment. The rules floated down hastily, sometimes with timelines far shorter than what innovation usually requires, leaving companies bruised and uncertain, innovation battered by regulatory headwinds. I remember those meetings. The anxiety, the hesitance, and above it all, the craving for clarity, a clarity we still chase like a mirage, somewhere between legislation and lived reality. Anything designed before we turn 35 is our beloved. After, it becomes suspect. Dangerous. How familiar is that fear? The old guard's grip on branch banks, on paper checks, seems quaint and immutable until suddenly, almost overnight, the world moves on without their blessing. Now, both the crypto rebels and the entrenched banks face a dilemma: adapt or become fossils, artifacts for future generations to puzzle over in dusty museums. Banks resist, desperate to slow the roll of time, knowing too well that to refuse this evolution is to invite irrelevance, a fate akin to Kodak and Blockbuster, giants toppled by their inability to change. Halfway in, pause, breathe. If what I've said so far has resonated, like a vibration deep in your bones, this is your cue. Like this video. Let others know this journey speaks to you. Share your thoughts in the comments. Tell me, in your own words, what you fear, what you hope, where you see yourself in this unfolding story. The banks plead for clarity, their legal counsels whispering that no empire can invest billions in a world fogged with uncertainty. It is not so much about yield, despite what the headlines trumpet, as it is about the raging conflict between tradition and disruption. Crypto will go where it is welcomed. Rails will be built in Europe and Asia, if America falters. Our very identity-based banking rails, the credentialed ladder to capital, leave behind over 1 billion souls on this planet, locked out because their papers do not fit the system's mold. I see injustice carved into the very stone of our financial architecture. Yet with crypto, the doors are open. You verify the token, not the person. Suddenly, the world stirs with those who have never had access, feeling for the first time the electric touch of possibility. But let us not mistake the struggle. The fury of the anti-progress faction, the wary, watchful eye of those who prize control above progress, is real. Legislation limps. Genius may be passed, but clarity remains elusive, caught in a web of politics, ethics, and the primal battle of new finance against old. I have hope, I must have hope, that the moderate hearts on both sides will reach across this divide and build a bridge. But I know too well, if we do not act, the yield of our indecision will be a generation lost, a chance squandered, the shadows lengthening where light might have poured. And still, I find reason to celebrate. Stablecoins, despite their imperfections, yes, despite the chilling absence of privacy protections in recent acts, vault the dollar into the digital age. I watch, as in a vision, a world where micropayments flicker silently, without friction, where the currency in your digital wallet is both shield and spear. Yet I mourn the lost poetry of cash, of true privacy. Genius Act brands every stablecoin transaction with the mark of surveillance, both commercial and governmental. We have missed our chance, for now, to make privacy a core value rather than an afterthought. The winners of tomorrow will be those who defend privacy, not as an absolute, but as an expectation, woven into the fabric of legality and trust. There is a silence every innovator knows, a moment when the world pulls back, uncertain, wary of what this freedom might bring. But look, AI, that other beast, is rising on the same tide. AI to trade markets while we sleep, to write code, to help the flexible, hungry minds of the young leapfrog generations of old thinking. For some, this is panic, the sense that their careful rules, their expected order, may simply evaporate overnight. We have never stopped technology, not really. You do not ban the hammer because it can be used in anger. You do not ban the phone because it whispers secrets. Technology flows around obstacles, seeps into every crack. If we resist, we only ensure our own absence when the new day comes. Prediction markets, how they spark in my mind. I remember when ride-sharing was reviled, throttled at airports, corralled by taxi cartels. Yet because the people liked it, it won, not by replacing what once was, but by augmenting life, by offering another path. Prediction markets will do the same, breaking not laws but expectations, tuning us into reality as surely as we check the weather before leaving for the day. Imagine that, the wisdom of the crowd, incentivized into truth, rippling into our decisions like sunlight through leaves. Of course, danger shadows every step forward. Where there is finance, there is fraud. Where there is freedom, there are those who would exploit it. But we do not burn the field because of weeds. We nurture the soil, write the rules, and let the best of us thrive. That is my hope. That is the shape of my longing. If anything in this whirlwind has traced the shape of your own hopes or your own fear, let it not pass in silence. Comment. Add your voice. Join me in this chorus of newness. Together, let's demand an architecture that includes privacy, innovation, inclusion. Let's say no to those who tremble at change. Let's be the ones who set fires of possibility wherever shadows fall. And when the books are written about this time, yes, when someone bends over a desk, pen scratching on paper under the gaze of autumn twilight, let it be said that we were there, that we did not wait for someone else to embrace the future, that we strode out to meet it, hearts open, eyes unblinking. Do not forget, if these words have moved you, if you want more of this journey, subscribe to Crypto 101 Central. Tap the bell once more, because tomorrow's story is already being written, and together we'll read every line. Watch the next video, be part of this relentless, beautiful change. I'll be waiting for you on the horizon, where technology and freedom meet, where the impossible becomes everyday.